All right, today we're going to look at ways to select random samples, specifically ways you're required to know by AP rubric. So for the opening example here, the management company of a local mall with 21 stores plans to survey 4 of them to determine the hours they would like to stay open during the holiday season. Explain how you would use the random numbers below, starting at line 130, to select a simple random sample of 4 stores. All right, so they're giving us a list of the stores. They're giving us the random number table, or part of a random number table we're supposed to be using. Here's where we actually begin writing the answer. Now, sometimes when you get these problems, the items in a list are already numbered, in which case you don't have to worry about that step. If they're not numbered, you have to number them. So first I would label the 21 stores from 01 through 21 as shown in the table above. Now, if you have more than 9 items in the list that you're choosing from, you have to block the digits so that each thing has the same number of digits. So in this case, we have to go from 01 to 21. If you're using random number tables, you had 100 or more items, then you'd have to do 001 to whatever. So you always have to have the same number of digits in order for this to work properly. The other thing too, when you're writing a free response, if you are doing something that's not immediately where you're writing right here, you have to direct the reader where to go, as shown in the table above. Now, when you number these, you could be going across, or you could be going up and down. Anytime you have a choice, when you're writing a free response, pick the path that's going to be the easiest to follow. It makes much more sense to go up and down because it keeps everything alphabetical. It's much nicer to deal with an alphabetical list than a non-alphabetical list. So in the interest of time, I already have my numbers labeled, the 01 through 21 up here. All right, now what are we going to do with that? Using the random number table provided, I will begin at line 130, moving left to right. Read 2-digit groups, skip any numbers that are not in the range of 01 to 21, and any repeaters. Continue until I have chosen 4 stores. All right, the stuff that needs to be there, the boxes that have to be checked by AP rubrics, you have to state where you're beginning. Now, they don't necessarily state where to begin. They told us in a problem, but we still need to repeat it down here. You have to state how you're moving, left to right. Now, I don't know why you would choose anything other than that. You're just adding a layer of complexity, but AP rubric, you still have to state left to right. You have to state how you're grouping the digits, in this case, 2-digit groups. You have to state what you're skipping, if anything, and you have to state what you're doing with repeaters. Okay, repeaters don't make any sense in the context of this problem. If you're chosen, you're already chosen. Being picked twice doesn't make any sense here. All right, now I recopied that line 130 down here with bigger numbers so it's easier to follow along. So the first 2-digit group is 69. That gets skipped. It's outside our range. Second 2-digit group, 05. That's in the range. That's a keeper. Second group, we have to skip over the space, so to speak, 16. That's a keeper. So we have 2 of the 4 stores we need to select. We got that quickly. 48, outside the range. 17, that's a keeper. 87, outside the range. 17, that's a repeater. We can't have 17 twice in our sample. 40, outside the range. 95, outside the range. 17, another repeater. 84, outside the range. 53, outside the range. 40, outside the range. 64, outside the range. 89, outside the range. 87, outside the range, and we have to go all the way to here to get our 4th store. All right, now what you need to do is have some kind of concluding sentence that puts these numbers back in the context of what we're trying to accomplish here. So the 4 stores chosen are 05, 16, 17, 20, and they correspond to Carter for Kids. 16 is PacSun. 17 is Panda Express. And 20 is Vitamin World. So again, highlighting what has to be there by AP rubric. You have to have your labeling. Make sure you block the digits when you're using random number tables. When you describe what you're going to do with the random number table, you have to have a beginning spot, how you're moving, how you're grouping the digits, what you're skipping, what are you doing with repeaters, when do I stop. Your final answer needs to include the numbers from the number table, and it needs to include what they represent in the problem. In this case, the 4 stores that are being chosen. All right, in general, by AP rubric for statistics, you need to be able to do this type of selection simulation by random number tables, which we just talked about, tactiles, which we're going to address next, and then using technology, which we'll do last for today. So a slightly different set of instructions with the same context. The management company of a local mall with 21 stores plans to survey 4 of them to determine the hours they would like to stay open during the holiday season. Explain how you would use tactiles to select a simple random sample size of 4 stores. So we have the same list of 21 stores. Now, when you're selecting a sample by using tactiles, the cleanest, simplest way is the names in a hat method. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be realistic in terms of if you had 4,000 things you're checking from, you can pretend you have a really big hat. Okay, you can still use the names in a hat method regardless of how many things you're choosing from. Now, if you're doing a names in a hat, you don't necessarily have to correspond this to any number. So we don't have to have any numbering up top. Okay, cleanest, fastest way to get full credit, checking all the boxes here. We're going to write the names of the 21 stores on equal size pieces of paper. We're going to place the pieces of paper in a hat. We're going to mix thoroughly. We're going to choose the pieces of paper one at a time without replacement, mixing thoroughly after each choice, and then make the list of the 4 stores chosen. Okay, what are the important details here you need to pay attention to? If you're going to be writing names on pieces of paper, you have to be specific about equal sizes. Because if one piece of paper is bigger than another piece of paper in a hat, it's going to be more likely to be chosen. You're losing that good equal probability thing that you need to have. Okay, after you place them in a hat, you have to specifically say that you're mixing thoroughly. There has to be a randomization process. Because if you're just dumping them in the hat alphabetical, and the ones at the bottom half of the alphabet are near the top of the hat, then you don't have the true randomness. You have to specifically state the mixing thoroughly. You have to specifically state, are you doing it with or without replacement? Okay, it doesn't make sense to do it with replacement. Once the store is chosen, it's already in the list. You have to be specific, is it with or without? In some scenarios, replacement makes sense, and we'll get to those contexts at a later time in a class. Again, that mixing thoroughly, that has to be in there. And then after you do whatever the choosing is, you always have to make a final list that wraps up the problem in terms of what we're trying to accomplish. Oh, I think I have the wrong page there. That's the one I just had. Nope, that already has the numbers. This is the one I want. Apologize for that. Okay, third way that we're going to do this, using technology. The management company of a local mall with 21 stores plans to survey 4 of them to determine the hours they would like to stay open during the holiday season. Explain how you would use technology to select a simple random sample of size 4 stores. All right, now if you're going to use technology, now we're back to one of the things we needed to do with the random number tables. We have to number. Now, if you're using a random number generator with technology, you don't have to block the digits. You only block the digits when you're working with the random number tables. So we can just number these straight up 1 through 21 without blocking the digits. Again, pick a numbering order that would make sense, make the problem easy to follow. Alphabetical would be the best option. So in the interest of time, I have that list already out with the 1 to 21. So as far as what you would need to write up, first I would label the 21 stores from 1 to 21 as shown in the table above. If you're not doing something directly where this is written, you direct the reader where to go. Using technology, I would generate 4 distinct random numbers from 1 through 21. Okay, you have to have distinct or different or something along the lines of, again, repeaters don't make sense. Oop, I'm missing the last part here. I would make the list of chosen stores. All right, now for AP purposes, the names in a hat, you would never be expected to actually perform that. There's no way that that can be reasonably graded on a quiz or a test. With the random number generator, there's no way that you would be asked to do that on the AP exam. Now, in class, you're responsible to do it because we'll all have the same technology and we have ways of monitoring the answers that you should obtain. Okay, so this is how we would do this. Okay, I'm doing this using a calculator that's the same as the class set, the TI-84 plus CE. Now, when it comes to generating random numbers, the different versions of the TI-83-84s have some different quirky features that if you're not using one from this class set or one just like it, you're going to have to adjust your keystrokes accordingly. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Math. I'm going to bump over to the Probability menu, and I'm going to choose number 8, Random Int No Repeat. So what this is going to do is generate random integers, and it'll do so without having any repeaters. Now that's a feature that some of the other TIs don't have. Some of the other TIs just have random int, in which case you have to adjust accordingly. We're going to do the random int no repeat. Okay, when you choose that, your lower bound, your upper bound are 1 and 21. That's the range of numbers we want to be picking from. And the n is equal to 4. That's how many of them we want. Press enter again. So the numbers that are chosen by the calculator are 17, 10, 21, 13. So I would make my final statement to be the random number generator produced the numbers 17, 10, 21, 13. That corresponds to stores being chosen as Panda Express, Gymboree, Zales, Mrs. Fields. All right. Now, random number generators are not truly random. Technically, there's pseudo-random number generators, and we're venturing into a part of the class that's a little bit above and beyond the scope, but it's something that needs to be addressed. If you take 2 brand new graphing calculators out of a box and you run that command, they're going to produce the exact same random numbers. What you can do is seed the calculator differently to produce different random numbers. This is how you can seed the calculator. What I'm going to do is type in 1, 2, 3, 4, the arrow for the store, math, probability, random. So what I did is I seeded the random number table with 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to take a different calculator here, same TI-84 plus CE, and I'm going to seed it with the same random number. 1, 2, 3, 4, arrow, math, probability, random, enter. So both these calculators are seeded the exact same way. So what I'm going to do is get that command back again and hit enter. It produces the random digits 1428. On this one, math, PRB, random int, no repeat, 121.4, paste, and you see it produces the exact same 1428. So as long as you have the TI-83, 84 calculators and you seed them the same way, the random number generator will produce the same numbers. So when we do this in class, what we'll do is seed our calculators differently so we get better data. We'll get more random numbers, so to speak. So I'm going to seed this one 666 because why not? And then get the same command back again from that, and it produces 12, 1, 2, 11. So this one here, I'll seed it as, just to make up something, 5287, store, math, PRB, random enter, get the command back again, and that produced 17, 4, 11, 18. So it would be highly unlikely that if we seeded the calculator two different ways, it produces the same set of random numbers. All right, so to wrap up, when it comes to simulating random selection for AP purposes, you're expected to be able to do so by using random number tables, by using some kind of tactile. Now, tactiles don't have to be names and hats. You could be talking about dice, cards in a deck, things along those lines. And then technology. Now, when you write it up, like this one here, you would just use the general using technology, generating whatever. For when we do these problems specifically in class, we're going to be using our class set of graphing calculators, dealing with the issues that we just talked about.